Hello, my name is Alex, and today I'm supposed to be doing a how-to presentation about something. My something, I've determined, is going to be how to put in a stereo in your vehicle or marine boat or whatever. This is what we have in mind. We'll go through all of that in just a minute. Everything that you need, you see here. Everything from zip ties to pliers, a lighter comes in handy, and wire strippers. These are $10 at Walmart. Gives you everything that you need to take your dash apart. First steps being your CD player, or in my case just an MP3 player. There is no spot for a CD in this particular model. You have to take all of this stuff out on this particular model. All of this has to come loose. These screws you can get out with the $10 set from Walmart. They come with everything that you need. The main thing that I wanted to go over was the speakers, the very, very large speakers here in the back. You see these in a lot of teenagers' vehicles. Everybody likes a little thumping, a little boom power, I guess you could say. And this is the hardest part, the amplifier. Now, the amplifier is hard because you have to get a wire from your battery to this amplifier. And if I could get my hood undone, I would show you how I did that. See if we can get it done. There it goes. Forgive me. Okay. Here we have the hood in all its glory. This is my wire that I have ran for my amplifier. This wire, as you can see, goes through the fender well and back through the dash, through this side, all the way to this side. Now, I've ran it from here through this little squishy plate to kind of give the wire some protection. It's also ran all underneath this, all of this trim, every single piece of it. There's a little bit sticking out right there. Seat belts are always hard to get out because they're so secure, and they take a special tool to get them undone. So I've got my wire ran right here. It continues underneath the seat and to the other side. Now, before you even run your wire or do anything dealing with a battery, you always unhook the ground side, which is the black side. Let me wait for this to focus up. Okay, now that we've got my battery not unplugged, I've already got mine set up, but here is our power wire that we ran all the way from the front of the truck to the back. And we have it plugged in. There's just a little screw right there, and that's all there is to that. Always, always, always leave your battery unplugged. Never ever plug it up to see if it works. Just don't do it. Not a good idea. You will electrocute yourself. The next thing that you need to do is run a ground wire. Ground wires and hot wires, people always get them backwards, confused. Ground wires will always be black and always be bolted to some type of metal or something along those lines. This one, sorry about that. This one is bolted into the frame right here. All I did was unscrew this on both sides and take this whole plate right here off. And I simply ran that wire right there against it and screwed it back on. Now that you should have all of your power fixed and all of this stuff right here hooked up, You could go back underneath the hood. Go back underneath the hood and hook all of this back up. If it was us really doing it right at this second, then I would be running this wire and attaching this one first, and then hooking up my ground wire again to the battery. Now that we've got our battery hooked back up, the vehicle would turn on, you would have power to the amp, and it would be okay. After that, you have this wire that comes from the head unit in the front of the vehicle, and you have this wire that comes from the head unit. This wire tells the amplifier to turn on, so this is a must-have. And this wire right here is actually the left and right sound in your speakers that give you the sound. Whether it's, you know, bass or treble or singing, that's what's responsible for the actual sound. Both of these, I can show you running back. There's that, and they're both ran underneath the trim all the way to the front of the vehicle, and just up underneath the dash in to the back of your head unit. Now, so we've got our head unit fixed and wired. We got our battery turned back on. We have everything hooked up. The only thing that's left would be these. Now this, as you can see, goes to the big box, the big speaker. These are subwoofers. These is what's going to give you your really loud noises. Alright. Now that in theory we have everything hooked up and everything ready to go, mine actually has Bluetooth enabled, so you can just hit play. So it's all wireless. Our amplifier is on. You can't really tell, but I can tell that the bass is moving. So everything's working. Alright. Let's get this turned off. Alright. That would be turned off. Vehicle is off. Now, quick tips. First and foremost, if you're ever messing with wiring on a vehicle, always unhook the ground on the battery. Never try it with it hooked up, even if it's just a quick simple fix, a stripped wire or something like that. Just don't do it. Always unhook the black side. Always. The red side can stay plugged up, that's fine. If it doesn't have a ground, it's not going to give any juice to anything. My second tip is when you are stripping wires for a project like this. This is generally the wire that you will be dealing with. It has a little protective covering, there we go, on the outside that's plastic. And whenever you're doing something like this, if you do not have all of your proper equipment, which would be this, then you can open it, slip it in there, squeeze it just a little bit, and it pulls right off. If you don't have that, this is probably the best trick that I have. Take a lighter, burn off, the wind's blowing, there we go. Burn it just a little bit, get it to where it's black. Take your regular pair of wires, strippers or pliers or whatever you have that's just laying around the house, and just pull. And just like that, you have fresh, new copper wire. This is, I think, 16 gauge speaker wire. Just focus that up a little bit. This is 16 gauge speaker wire. This is what you're going to be using for the big stuff like that. For your wires coming off your amplifier, this needs to be 8 gauge or bigger. I think this is 4, and this is actually a 4 gauge as well. My last tip before I wrap it up is never ever let your powers and your ground wires cross. Now, because of how my stuff is situated in my truck, they ended up crossing, as you can see right here. But I go to any of your local hardware, any type thing, and you can get this little plastic wrap, and you just wrap it around the ground wire. Make sure that none of these are able to touch the wires. This obviously both have coating on them, so you should be fine. That's the short and simple version. I was supposed to keep it under 10 minutes, but hey, you can't live with everything. Can't have everything you ever wanted. And now everybody in the whole world gets to see my speaker system. And thank you.